The following is a production of Florida State University's Office of University Communications. Coming up on a special edition of FSU Headlines, a look back at the year 2015 at Florida State University, including a record-breaking gift launches FSU's School of Entrepreneurship, and Florida State enjoys a banner year for women's athletics. Stay tuned for these stories and so much more. A special edition of FSU Headlines starts now. Hello and welcome to a special edition of FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet. We're taking a look back at the year 2015 and what a year it was.
Yes, it was. And 2015 saved the best for last, or at least perhaps the most exciting for last.
In December, Florida State University received the largest private gift ever given to a public university in the state of Florida. Florida State University is now home to the first interdisciplinary school of entrepreneurship in the nation, thanks to a $100 million gift from Jan Moran and the Jim Moran Foundation to honor the late Jim Moran. Through this generous gift, the Jim Moran School of Entrepreneurship will bring together students and faculty from all colleges and majors across the FSU campus.
No other university in the country currently teaches entrepreneurship from a truly interdisciplinary perspective, making Florida State a leader with this dynamic new approach. The Morans have been longtime friends and supporters of Florida State University, and this gift will transform entrepreneurial education. Obviously, much more to come on this story. Stay tuned. Florida State University's Jim Moran School of Entrepreneurship will open its doors to students in 2018. As we just heard, the record gift moves Florida State significantly closer to achieving its goal of raising $1 billion in private support by 2018.
But keeping the multi-year Raise the Torch campaign on pace was just one of University President John Thrasher's many priorities during his first full year in office. Other goals included filling the vacancy at Provost, increasing faculty salaries, and enhancing student support. More on those goals in a bit.
But first, the university formally recognized President Thrasher's appointment with all the pomp and circumstance of an official investiture ceremony. Guests included the governor, the chancellor of the state university system, and the chairman of the Florida Board of Governors. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn was also there. Here's our coverage from March 2015.
Florida State University celebrates the inauguration of John Thrasher as its 15th president during a formal investiture ceremony at Ruby Diamond Concert Hall.
On behalf of the Florida State University Board of Trustees and the entire university community, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the investiture of John Thrasher as Florida State University's 15th president.
University, local, and state leaders are on hand to take part in the special ceremony. Florida Governor Rick Scott praises President Thrasher's dedication to higher education.
President Thrasher has a long history of being a tireless advocate for Florida families, students, and teachers. His work ethic and passion for not only Florida State University, but our entire state has left a lasting legacy.
Florida State University Interim Provost Sally McCrory adding that President Thrasher is already on his way to helping Florida State move into the future.
Albert Schweitzer once said, "Leading by example is not the best way to influence people. It's the only way." President Thrasher's example of energy, thoughtfulness, openness, and dedication make him not only a fine president, but I believe he's someone who could be an exceptional president.
It wasn't all speeches during the ceremony. The FSU Men's Glee Club coming to the stage for a few selections to commemorate this event. And then Chairman Bentz making the investiture official by presenting the Presidential Medal to President Thrasher.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I hereby present you with the Presidential Medal and officially pronounce you President of Florida State University. Thank you, man. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Good job, buddy. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you.
Along with thanking his wife Jean and his children and grandchildren, President Thrasher used his presidential address to highlight the achievements of Florida State. He also took time to ensure the university community looks to the future and how everyone can be involved in the university's success.
As I take on the responsibilities of this presidency, I'm reminded of something President Robert Strozier said at his inauguration in 1958. He said this, and I quote, "This is not my university or your university, but rather our university. It belongs to the generations who've already given their allegiance, just as it belongs to those who have yet to come." This is an exciting time for Florida State University. We're on the threshold of a new era with many challenges and incredible opportunities. Aristotle said this, "Excellence is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny." I believe that to my core. At FSU, we are excellent in many ways. We choose to reach higher. God bless you. Thank you.
For FSU Headlines, I'm Mark Vaughn.
Thanks, Mark. As we mentioned earlier, one of President Thrasher's top priorities of 2015 was filling the vacancy at Provost. After an exhaustive national search, Dr. Sally McRory was announced as Florida State University's new Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs in November. McRory is a longtime member of the Florida State faculty, and she is a former dean and vice president. She served FSU as interim provost since December 2014.
Florida State University students made headlines in 2015, claiming national and international scholarships and awards. Goldwater, Frost, and Fulbright scholarships were just a few.
One of those Florida State University students was the only recipient from the state of Florida to receive the Harry S. Truman Scholarship. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn sat down with the former Army medic to talk about this incredible accomplishment.
Florida State University psychology major Daniel Hubbard's journey to Florida State started in Tallahassee as a high school student. After high school, Hubbard says he wanted to make a difference in the world, so it was off to the military to become an Army medic.
When I served in the Army, when I got out of high school, I decided to join the Army as a medic, and then once I got through the school, being a medic, and once I got into deployment, once I got back home, I decided I wanted to continue my education, and I thought Florida State would be a good place to do that.
His experience in the military helping others led him to his calling and to Florida State University to study psychology and, more specifically, suicide.
I started searching opportunities to conduct research at Florida State, so I got involved in the undergraduate research opportunity program. I also got involved in Dr. Joyner's research lab on suicide, and that was very formative in helping me understand what I wanted to do, which was research and also be a clinician. It gave me the opportunity to engage with the literature, to learn about suicide, and I came across an article on military suicide, and really that was kind of a history for me. I mean, it grabbed my attention, and it hasn't let go since.
Through his coursework and research efforts as part of FSU's undergraduate research experience, Hubbard has developed into a great student and researcher. And those two things have led him to this prestigious Harry S. Truman Scholarship.
Daniel is a wonderful representative for the type of students that the Truman Foundation looks for in their Truman Scholars. He is highly engaged in his academics. He engages in undergraduate research here at the university, but he's also very passionate around an issue that is going to allow him to engage beyond the classroom.
Being a Truman Scholar has really affirmed a lot of my beliefs in myself. It's also getting credit for hard work that I've done, and that's important. A lot of people do a lot of hard work, and sometimes you get rejected, and sometimes you get turned down, and that's okay because it's stuff like this that it pays off.
Through the scholarship, Hubbard will have opportunities to participate in professional development programming and preparation for a career in public service leadership. He'll also receive $30,000 to study at the graduate school of his choice. FSU President Jan Thrasher is excited to have Daniel Hubbard represent the university.
I had the pleasure of meeting Daniel first and foremost. He is a humble young man who cares deeply about the university, cares deeply about the research he's doing. And I know that he will be an outstanding representative of Florida State University, but it's symbolic of a lot of the things that are going on at this university. Many of the great things that our students are doing, this is just one example of it, but a shining example.
Daniel Hubbard joins the prestigious ranks of Truman Scholars as part of the 2015 class of just 58 Truman Scholars nationally, and he's the only Truman Scholar in Florida this year. For FSU Headlines, I'm Mark Vaughn.
Coming up next on our look back at 2015, an FSU professor makes a chilling discovery.
With some of the bones that they'd already collected and some of the bones that we collected with our group, we were able to determine that this is a different species. And so that's really exciting for us. Anytime you find a new species, it's a big deal.
Cold weather dinosaurs. That story and more from the year 2015 when this special edition of FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
I will forever bleed garnet and gold, and I will forever be here at heart.
Florida State is monumental in my academic and professional career, I think.
The professors are some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life.
We've always known if we wanted to go to Florida State, we were going to go to Florida State.
FSU helped me so much by giving me all the resources that I could need to succeed.
An amazing experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
When you buy a Florida State University license plate,
You're not just showing your school spirit.
You're supporting students like us.
in the lab,
In the classroom.
And in the library.
putting this tag on your vehicle helps Florida State students achieve their dreams. So show your pride. Purchase an FSU license plate today.
Hello and welcome back to this special edition of FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet. We're recapping Florida State University's top stories of 2015. Our next story, however, actually began years ago. Millions of years ago.
About 69 million years ago. That's when a species of dinosaur endured months of winter darkness and maybe even snow.
That's what you get when you live in Alaska, and that's where a Florida State University researcher helped uncover the skeletal remains of the previously unknown species.
Scientists now believe these were the northernmost dinosaurs ever to have lived.
And now FSU Professor of Biology Gregory Erickson's big find is challenging what we know about dinosaurs. Take a look at our story from September.
Our research team has been working up in Alaska for 5 years, a collaboration between Florida State and the University of Alaska at Fairbanks. So we're announcing a new dinosaur. It's called Ugruunalik Kukpekensis. It's named after the Inupiat words for ancient grazer of the Colville River. It's obviously very exciting to us to find a new dinosaur, and particularly in the Arctic. So this is an animal that generally walked on its back legs. It could drop down on its forelegs. It was a grazer, had a big broad bill, could graze low-lying plants, and it had batteries of teeth where it had probably up to 1,400 teeth that it in a very horse-like manner could grind up plants. It was a scaly creature. We know this from close relatives of it, where we found very nice skin impressions, and it also had sort of Godzilla-like plates coming off of its back as well, obviously for display. The bones we're finding from this new animal range from sizes about like this. This is one of the forearm bones here. This animal would have had a jaw about this long, so we're getting very small dinosaurs up there. But occasionally we're finding some larger bones, such as this equivalent element here, which would have gone to with an animal with a jaw about this big. So we're getting animals that are very young to near adult size, and from these adult animals in particular, we've found some new features that show that this is definitely a new species. There's a whole different province of dinosaurs up there. In fact, we believe there's 13 different species of dinosaur up there, and just about every single one of them looks a little bit off relative to dinosaurs that lived at the same time down in Alberta and Montana. And so this has led us to posit in a theory that everything up there was Arctic adapted. And this suggests that there was an Arctic province. Basically, what we think we're finding is a lost world of dinosaurs out there that we just didn't realize that existed. What's even more exciting to me is that Alaska is almost completely unexplored, and we're one of the only research teams in Alaska, that's working up there. And it's really exciting, not only what we found, but I think what we're going to find down the road.
The Florida State University's Institute of Sports Science and Medicine spent part of 2015 studying Ultraman with help from an ambitious former FSU student athlete.
We caught up with the Institute's director, Mike Ormsby, and his team in their race to discover how an athlete's body responds during ultra-endurance events.
When the opportunity arose to help train former FSU athlete Chris Clark for an unusual race, Mike Ormsby and his team of graduate students were all on board.
So it was really neat to connect with him, start talking about options for his nutrition to offer for Chris.
After being a lifelong athlete and a Florida State University swimmer, Chris was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in his 20s. But the former long-distance swimmer eventually found solace back in the water. During a workout, he met endurance coach and athlete Chuck Kimmeny.
We were a little competitive in the water, and Chris came up to me at the water fountain after we finished the workout, and he said, "You're that guy." I was like, "That guy?" He says, "Yeah, the one who did the double Ironman and won it." And I was like, "Yeah." He says, I'm gonna do that race. I'm gonna do an ultra race one day."
Chuck needed help maintaining Chris's type 1 diabetes during training and called on his friends at Florida State University's Institute of Sports Sciences and Medicine.
We kept talking along that period for helping Chris to do this Ultraman. And at one of these conversations, I just said, we need to collect data on this. How can we do it? And Chuck was our connection to everybody in the Ultraman world.
And so with Chuck's help, Mike and the team of graduate researchers were given the green light from the coordinators of Ultraman, along with approval for testing granted by FSU. The team headed to Orlando to collect data on 20 of the ultra athletes, including Chris.
There's 5 of us in this particular van, a lot of people with a lot of different experiences, all just going to get Chris through it. And then every so often we'd hop out of the car, Chris would take a quick break, we'd take blood glucose levels and lactate levels and everything to have more data on him, because he allowed me to go next to him the whole time taking these measurements.
The testing and monitoring didn't bother Chris. In fact, he actually gained weight during the race thanks to the continual nutritional supervision. Despite a few extra pounds, Clark not only made history as the first type 1 diabetic to finish an Ultraman race, he placed 6th overall. The race wasn't only a milestone achievement for Clark. The opportunity for graduate research assistant Chris Bach to study Ultraman is one of a kind.
The fact that we were able to do field work with these athletes and find out exactly what happens on the course, to be able to see how it's changing every 5 minutes was really invaluable and really fun too.
Bach and the Institute of Sports Sciences and Medicine spent the summer studying the data and released its findings in November, which showed that while the participants experienced a considerable reduction of body fat, there was also evidence of temporary muscle damage as well as a reduction in insulin sensitivity. This resistance to insulin is the same pathology of type 2 diabetes, but was only a temporary effect for the participants. The result of the study raises questions for the future of endurance athletes if they choose to regularly participate and train for such intense endurance events, but it will also be useful in better preparation during training and competing.
We want to just spread awareness for what's being done, and then start to look at how do we provide strategies to improve recovery, maybe get them back faster, or try to have them complete something like this long race without having as much muscle wasting, as much overall inflammation or negative effects.
Coming up next on our look back at the year 2015, a tradition of tribute.
We invite the outside communities to come and enjoy a day of, a lot of Native American dancing, Seminole alligator wrestling, Seminole food, Seminole patchwork, and in combination with our big PRCA rodeo.
We'll show you the sights and sounds of Osceola and Renegade's trip to the Seminole Reservation when FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
Welcome back to this special edition of FSU Headlines and our look back at the year 2015. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet. It would be hard to take a look back at 2015 and not talk about a special honor for a special friend of Florida State University. Each year, the FSU Honorary Degree Committee considers nominations to bestow a worthy candidate with an honorary doctorate from Florida State University. Lucy Ho became the 128th recipient of such a degree in 2015. The Tallahassee community is familiar with Lucy Ho for her delicious array of local restaurants, but here on campus, she's also known for the elaborate costumes worn by the performers of the Florida State Opera. For her dedication to FSU and decades of work, she was awarded an honorary doctorate of humane letters in November.
Lucy's a life well lived, no question about it. Service, working, giving back. I mean, that's the thing that Lucy's done. She's never asked for accolades. She's never asked for, recognition. She's always been willing to be there, be on the front line of helping other people. And if any of our students can learn that, including all of us, a better way, we'll have a better country, a better world, frankly.
I was so shocked, I got this kind of honor degree, but only my job is so many people surrounding me, support me, including my husband and my friend and my old school music dean and the president and the local for my manager. Everybody helped me, otherwise I cannot accomplish so many things,
The FSU Honorary Degree Committee is an advisory committee appointed by the president to represent university community. And there's no doubt Lucy Ho is a wonderful example of service to the community.
Absolutely. Now let's move things to Seminole athletics and talk about another outstanding year for Florida State, especially in women's athletics.
You're right, Dennis. From soccer to volleyball and football, the Seminoles played well in 2015, collecting some hardware along the way. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn breaks down FSU athletics in 2015 for us.
2015 was a big year for athletics at Florida State University, from the football field to the hardwood. But would it end with championships like in 2013 and 2014? The FSU football team went into the 2015 campaign with high hopes for another ACC title and the college football playoff. They were well on their way until a setback at Georgia Tech changed the season. A second loss at Clemson put FSU out of title contention, but with plenty to play for. Jimbo Fisher's squad would win a total of 10 games during the regular season and look for win number 11 in the Peach Bowl against Houston. Unfortunately, though, the squad ran into a focused Cougars team and fell by a score of 38-24 to end the year 10-3.
First, I want to say I'm very proud of our seniors. What the senior class has meant, 49 wins in 4 years, averaging over 12 a year, 3 ACC titles, and national championship, 4 major bowl games in a row. Very proud of that group. Very happy for what they've been able to accomplish and the underclassmen. I mean, what they were able to do. Each week, we tried to get better, and I thought we competed very hard in this game here. We didn't play as well as we needed to, for sure. Houston did a great job. They have a great team.
On to the soccer pitch, and the Seminoles back in the Final Four again this season, looking for back-to-back national titles. The Seminole soccer team taking on the Duke Blue Devils in the semifinals of the College Cup. The Noles with some great defense to start, but a run leads to a shot on goal and the first score of the game for the Blue Devils. Another score by Duke puts FSU in dire straits and really needing something to fall their way. Unfortunately for FSU, it's not to be. The season ends with the 2-0 loss to Duke in the team's 5th straight College Cup, but no back-to-back titles this year. There's a lot to look forward to, though, as the team returns some key players for the 2016 season. And on the volleyball court, the Seminoles season coming to a close in the second round of the NCAA tournament to rival Florida. Nicole Walsh finished with 19 kills and 14 digs as she notched her 8th double-digit kill performance in the NCAA tournament, but it was a rally deep in the third that shifted the momentum as the Florida Gators came away with the win. The Noles end the year with an impressive 25-8 record. Overall, a fun and win-heavy season this fall, and there's a lot to look forward to in the future as basketball season rolls on. For FSU Headlines, I'm Mark Vaughn.
Now let's take a trip down to Brighton, Florida, and spend the day with the Seminole Tribe of Florida.
That's the home of the annual Brighton Field Day, and it's also where the Seminole Tribe of Florida hosts its Brighton Field Day and Professional Rodeo. The weekend in March is full of family fun. Take a look.
Well, today is our second day of our Brighton Field Day Festival, our 77th annual festival. It's one of the oldest Native American festivals throughout the United States. As you can see, there's a good crowd all over the place, and they're just having a good time. You know, man, Seminole alligator wrestling. We have a lot of Native American dancing. Seminole food, and in combination with our big PRCA rodeo.
We're just demonstrating traditional cooking. We do this every year just to show people how we usually cook. We make use of pretty much any fish. We're just roasting it, and the shell acts as an oven and cooks everything from the inside out.
So you do not want to grab them by the side. There's so many things going on. It's just hard to pinpoint one thing exactly that's a big hit around here. FSU fans attend this event. They're able to see more of the Seminole culture and learn more about the name that Florida State uses. So I think it's very important to both sides to continue that relationship.
We're probably the only tribe out there that has a strong relationship with the University of Florida State, that it's an opportunity us to invite them down, whether like today we have a couple of football players, and I also got the president of Florida State University, President Thrasher. So, you know, it's always good to show that, to showcase that relationship that we do have. Both share the same name, Seminole, and then at the same time it's about when they're on a football field, it's having that unconquered spirit. And the Seminole tribe, we still have that unconquered spirit.
Well, that's going to do it for this special edition of FSU Headlines and our look back at the year 2015. For Nora and for everyone here at Florida State University, I'm Dennis Schnitker. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.